What is an intensity interferometer? What is the history behind this subject? And what is the connection to quantum optics? These are the three questions we'll try to address in this lecture. The intensity interferometer has some very interesting connection to coherence phenomena. Here I explain the basic physics behind it. In the context of spatial coherence, the coherence theory expresses the degree of spatial coherence as given by this gamma 1 2, and here you will see there is an amplitude related to the fields, and there are two fields 1 and 2. So if you consider these to be sources related to two different parts of a particular source, or it can be light coming from two different sources themselves, then what we are now seeing here is essentially something called as degree of spatial coherence. This degree of spatial coherence has a very important connection to the intensity interferometer, because an intensity interferometer measures the intensity correlation function between two sources. If I1 and I2 are considered as two sources, the intensity interferometer essentially measures the correlation between these two sources. And then the intensity correlation function is essentially given by this particular expression, where the enclosing bracket denotes the time average. So if you go further, this correlation measured in the intensity interferometer is related to the spatial coherence in this particular expression. So now you see I1 and I2 is related to this gamma 1 2, which is again coming from this particular expression. Importantly, this particular function delta I1 and delta I2, which is mainly related to the fluctuation of this particular signature, is now proportional to the square, modulo square of this gamma 1 2. Remember, gamma 1 2 essentially is related to the spatial coherence, essentially the degree of spatial coherence. This proportionality is at the heart of the intensity interferometer, and we are going to discuss a little bit more of this aspect now. Now the question to ask is, what is the distinct advantage of such kind of an such kind of proportionalities, especially if it is related to the square of the gamma 1 2? What uniqueness can be brought into such kind of a system? A conventional interferometer measures a signal that is proportional to only gamma 1 2. So Michelson interferometer and other kind of interferometers do not have this square. It only measures this modulo gamma 1 2, which means that it essentially has some specific relationship only with respect to the amplitude and the phase. In certain cases there is also no this modulo, therefore you can also have specific signatures related to this gamma 1 2 spatial coherence, degree of spatial coherence. And importantly, if you have this particular function gamma 1 2, this is generally sensitive to the phase of the electromagnetic radiation which has been detected. But in intensity interferometer, that phase is totally absent. And there is certain advantages compared to the conventional interferometer, such as let us say Michelson interferometer, which is a conventional interferometer. So let me give you a kind of a small list of advantages which might be achieved due to the intensity interferometer. In the intensity interferometric measurements, unlike the amplitude or phase measurements, you can directly detect the intensity using optoelectronic instruments. This is generally quite obvious, because you do not have to worry about the aspects related to the detection of phase or amplitude, which is very hard, by the way, compared to, let us say, conventional optoelectronic detection of intensity of the light. The second advantage is that they do not require precise sub-wavelength optical alignment, unlike amplitude or wavefront dividing interferometers. Please remember that if you have to really do very high resolution interferometry, especially in the conventional sense, and if you want to detect amplitude and the phase of the wave, then the alignment should be very, very sharp. Whereas in the interferometry, what we are talking about, which is the intensity interferometer, there is a distinct advantage of that particular system, and that is one of the unique aspects which is very critical. The third advantage is also that you can use two detectors that are placed very far away from each other, which means that you would be able to improve the spatial resolution of the measurement, and this has very deep connection to astronomy and astrophysics, because you can now look at stars and you can use detectors in two different parts of the earth and try to actually detect them using such an intensity interferometer. There is also a constraint of utilizing an intensity interferometer, in that the intensity of the participating source should be very bright. So, if the source happens to be very weak, you would not be able to utilize the intensity interferometer very effectively. That is one of the disadvantages, unfortunately. Now, what is the connection in terms of the historical implication of this intensity interferometer? What is the origin of such an interferometric measurement? Who were the people who were involved in it? How did it come about into the fruition? That is what I am going to discuss now going forward. As I told, there is a deep and important connection between quantum optics and radio astronomy. There were two gentlemen named Hanbury Brown and R.Q. Twiss in the 1950s devised something called as this intensity interferometer. Particularly, they were interested in measuring the diameter of discrete radio sources in the astrophysical context or astronomical context. The title of their seminal paper, as you see, reads a new type of interferometer for use in radio astronomy. So, this is where this idea actually came into fruition, and particularly in their abstract, they explicitly mention the principle of the instrument is based upon the correlation between the rectified outputs of two independent receivers at each end of baseline, and it is shown that the cross correlation coefficient between these two outputs is proportional to the square of the amplitude of the Fourier transform of the intensity distribution across the source. Now, this important aspect is the intensity distribution. It is not the conventional phase or amplitude, but it is the intensity distribution which is directly measured, and that is where this proportionality comes into picture, and that is the real advantage of such kind of measurements. Now, furthermore, this had very deep implications within radio astronomy and also in optical frequency based astronomy. They tested their technique in laboratory situations to begin with, and then they followed it up with a measurement of the diameter of Sirius, one of the brightest star on Earth. Now, where you can detect this particular signal from the Sirius star. Their technique was indeed a kind of a game changer, because it could measure the diameter of very bright stars and with very high accuracy, and they went on to detect so many interesting stars and do accurate measurements in such kind of a situation. As the intensity interferometers were being developed, there was something also which is happening in parallel, and that is the development of lasers in the 1960s. So, as you know, unlike conventional light sources, laser light is coherent in nature, which means that it brings in a unique feature that can be used to understand the nature of light. In the context of the laser optics, intensity interferometer had immediate utility in studying coherence through correlation measurements. It was of course logical to combine lasers with intensity interferometers and study this kind of correlation. And there were two gentlemen around this time, Leonard Mandel and Emil Wolf, who actually took this jump of understanding this principle of the intensity interferometer and connecting them to to this very important parameter, which is the modulo square of the degree of spatial coherence. This specific kind of intuition led to some very important questions in quantum optics. One should also mention a word on Emil Wolf. Emil Wolf is the same person who was part of the famous book Born and Wolf, and that is one of the classics in the context of the classical electromagnetic theory. The quantum extrapolation of this book mainly came in the form of this wonderful book titled Optical Coherence and Quantum Optics by Leonard Mandel and Emil Wolf. And this is considered as one of the very important treatise on the topic of connecting optical coherence to quantum optics. This book also discusses the interface of statistical optics, optical coherence and quantum optics. The core argument of the book starts with probability theory and its connection to fluctuation of light, and builds optical coherence, polarization and eventually quantum optical effects of light itself, especially from the developments of quantum mechanics and field theory viewpoint. It is a very well written book with a flavor of both experiments and theory. Mandel himself actually was a very accomplished experimentalist, and he pioneered some of the major experiments in quantum optics. And Emil Wolf, of course, had his hand in both classical electromagnetic theory of light and quantum optical theory of light. In that sense, they really participated extensively. To go further and give you a little deeper connection in terms of how they postulated the importance of the quantum optics and optical coherence, let me quote from their preface in this particular book. In that preface, they mention about the optical coherence, and also they talk about the fact that not much attention was given in the early part of the 1960s, where only few physicists like Schrodinger, Zernike and Law and other people did actually ask this question of the connection between optical coherence and understanding the nature of light. But they mentioned that it is thanks to the laser light and the development of the laser light that the trigger really happened, and they consider that as an important epoch in the optical phenomena. And simultaneously they also bring in the concepts of Hanbury, Brown and Twiss in the 1950s, whom I just mentioned a few minutes ago. And the Brown and Twiss experiment was indeed very critical to understand this connection between optical coherence and also some of the questions related to quantum optical phenomena. However, this experiment was just an initiation. They mentioned that it was needed for better understanding of the coherence property of light, and such coherence property of light could be now measured and are understood with very systematic experiments thanks to the emergence of laser light. So therefore, laser light really played a critical role in understanding quantum optical phenomena, and also connected to that is the understanding of the quantum mechanics itself, and that is a critical connection what we have to appreciate here. The other aspect is that there were also very interesting questions which further led to a series of studies on light matter interaction. It had implications on coherence and understanding the perspective of optical coherence, and various different questions related to the field theory, and the analysis of the fluctuation of light, randomness and the associated statistics. All these questions were addressed by many people, including Mandel, Wolf, Glauber and ECG Sudarshan, who was of Indian origin and really deeply contributed to quantum optics, and many others across the world laid the foundation and also connection between optical coherence and quantum optical phenomena. So, what is important for us to appreciate here is that what started as a technical development in radio astronomy turned out to be a vital tool in quantum optics. This is something which we have to always deeply appreciate, because you can see that the connection which is not generally associated directly with the quantum mechanics, which happened in the radio astronomy, then into the optical phenomena, and that optical phenomena led to understanding of this intensity interferometer, which further led to very deeper understanding of quantum optics and quantum optical phenomena. Leonard Mandel's experiments are fantastic. Emil Wolf's theoretical analysis is very deep. So if somebody is interested, one should really look up all these works and their references associated with that. Most of the discussion what I had in this small lecture is kind of written up in blogs. I do write blogs, and if you're interested, have a look at these two blogs, Intensity Interferometer and also Born and Wolf to Mandel and Wolf. You'll get to learn a lot more about these topics, and I've also cited many references. Do have a look at them. It would be beneficial for you to go deeper into these topics and understand this fascinating connection between radio astronomy, optical coherence, and eventually quantum optical phenomena. Thank you.